Welcome back to the Relaxing Ghost channel here on YouTube. As always, your host with the most, Ghost. Today we got episode 18 of the Attitude Era review series, WrestleMania 13. So we are taking a little trip back to 1997, like I mentioned in the previous episode. So yeah, it was kind of painful to get through WrestleMania 13. And overall, I probably have seen WrestleMania twice in its entirety. I have watched a couple other matches, Austin and Bret throughout the years, numerous times, of course. But WrestleMania 13 took place March 23rd, 1997. 18,197 folks sold out the Rosemont Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois, very close to Chicago, Illinois. This would be the second time WrestleMania has hosted there in Chicago, the other being WrestleMania 2. This would also be the, I believe, the fifth overall pay-per-view from the Rosemont Horizon. So it's pretty cool there. I'll get into that a little bit later. I will put up a little thing here, probably in the top right-hand corner. Vote now for episode 19, guys. King of the Ring, 1997. One Night Only, 1997. Or SummerSlam, 1997. I don't have Survivor Series. It was never released on DVD. Besides the Tag Classics, which I don't have. I don't have the network. So we're not going to review it. So there's your picks, guys. SummerSlam, King of the Ring, or One Night Only. Vote now, guys. Surprisingly, WrestleMania 13 won the poll, so it is what it is, I guess. So we have Jerry Lawler, Mr. McMahon, and Jim Ross on commentary for the majority of the show. First match of the night, and this does not even feel like a WrestleMania card. I'll be honest, guys. The Rumble was surprisingly fairly good, and we just went on a complete detour back to like 1995, because this is a god-awful WrestleMania. 1997, I'll say this right off the bat as well, too. 97 is a pretty underrated year overall. I mean, you hear about guys' favorite years. You always hear, 2002, 2001, 1998. I would probably throw 1997 in one of my favorite years. First match of the night, we got the Godwins, the Blackjacks, the Headbangers, and Furnace and LaFawn in a Four Corners elimination tag team match to determine the number one contendership for the WWF Tag Team Championships. We got the new Blackjacks here with Bradshaw and Barry Windham. They do show a clip from 1975 with Mulligan and Lanza. Pretty cool here. Pretty cool little clip. This was not the best opener overall. So Bradshaw ends up getting disqualified early on in the match, and the Blackjacks are sent back to the dressing room. Furnace and LaFawn end up getting counted out, and it leaves the Godwins and the Headbangers for a few minutes here. Hillbilly Jim is in the corner of the Godwins here. Which I never really understood, because Hillbilly Jim, he was usually a babyface. I always perceived the Godwins were heels. Thrasher ends up blocking the slop drop, and Mosh hits a kind of a bombs away finish where he just jumps off the top rope and kind of does like a sit down pinning combination. And they end up winning the match. Hillbilly Jim did have the ref distracted there in the ending sequences, and Headbangers end up winning the match here. Nothing too special, nothing too fancy. Next up here, we got Brian Pillman and Sonny in a backstage pre-cut promo, I think it was. And they are advertising the Superstar line. It is weird to me to go back and watch the WrestleMania Legacy set, because they still kept the phone numbers and all that stuff on the tape. I'm not sure why. And I probably should have tried to call that Superstar hotline. That'd be pretty funny if we actually could get through on that. So, second match of the night, we got the Intercontinental Championship match. It was The Rock, Rocky Maivia, defending the championship against the Sultan, also known or better known as Rikishi. The Honky Tonk Man comes down to ringside for commentary, and I'm not really sure why. Maybe because he's known as the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. But for this match, it was kind of weird. The Sultan here is with the Iron Sheik and Bob Backlund, two former WWF champions. And they don't really mention Sheik as being a former champion. They do mention Backlund's the former champion, but not the Sheik. It's kind of weird. Tony Atlas is seen sitting ringside for this one. The Rocky Johnson's former tag team partner. Iron Sheik ends up distracting the referee here, so another ref distraction by a legend. The Sultan hits a super kick and a pile driver for a 2 count on the Rock. Rock hits a roll up for the 3, and Rocky retains. JR is trying to get an interview with the Rock after the match, and the Sultan ends up attacking Rock. They did not knock down JR. And Sultan hits a big splash off the top rope, puts on the camel clutch on Rocky Maivia, and Rocky Johnson ends up making the save. They do his flying punches and all that stuff. So really cool. They end up hugging it out, and Rock celebrates after the match. Rock was still very young into his career here. He only debuted at the Survivor Series in '96. This is only 5-6 months later. So he's still, in his first year of WWE. The Rock, he wasn't as polished as he would become, a year later at WrestleMania 14. Next up, we have a backstage promo with Ken Shamrock. We have clips from Raw. They're showing Ken Shamrock. He's putting some submission moves on Billy Gunn. Pretty cool. They're letting us know that Shamrock does have the ability to put these submissions on. He is familiar with submissions and things like that. Ken Shamrock was the Ultimate Fight champion, as they mentioned here. We have a Doc Hendricks interview with Triple H, so really cool. Moving along. Third match of the night, Triple H versus Goldust. Pretty sure this is the end of their feud at WrestleMania here. I thought this was a fairly good match. I really thought this one should have been the opener here. They did open the card up on the Royal Rumble, so Triple H and Goldust, they are in a really good spot here. They're actually well into their career by '97. They're pretty polished. They're both pretty good technical wrestlers, even though Goldust really doesn't show much technical wrestling. He is pretty good. And this match was good. It was solid. It was even fought throughout the match. Good back and forth stuff. And China is now with Triple H here. At the Rumble, we had Mr. Hughes with Triple H. And now China is here. So China goes after Terry at one point in the match. Terry jumps up on the ring apron, and Goldust is going to save her. Triple H hits the high knee from behind, knocks Goldust into Terry. Terry is caught by China, and China just ragdolls Terry Runnels there. Triple H ends up putting Goldust in the pedigree for the win. And this would be the end of their feud. We have an AOL room, America Online Clips, with HBK, Shawn Michaels, and Shawn. This is well before the DX days. Shawn Michaels is like the child on a computer. Like he has no clue what he's doing, and Vince McMahon and Lawler are kind of mocking him. Fourth match of the night. We have the tag team titles on the line. Vader and Mankind versus Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith, the champions. And this would be British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith's 9th WrestleMania. Pretty amazing. And also I believe this would be Owen's 8th. Before the match, they have a little promo here with Owen Hart saying, Davey Boy's got 2 titles and I got 2 Slammies. So this is now the Slammy Owen Hart, which everyone seems to love, along with myself. So Owen Hart was the newly crowned, British Bulldog, newly crowned European champion, and they were the tag champions. So like I was mentioning earlier, this is the 5th event from the Rosemont Horizon. The first one being the Wrestling Classic in 1985, or it might have been even 1984. Let's check, because I believe I have, yeah. Anyone ever want to pick up a wrestling book? Pick up a wrestling almanac. So many great stats in here, and it's good to just brush up on your stats. A lot of good stuff in here. Yeah, 1985 was the Wrestling Classic. We had WrestleMania 2, Survivor Series 89, SummerSlam 94, and of course WrestleMania 13. So it's been a while since a big 4, big 5 pay-per-view has been in Chicago. We did have Money in the Bank for a while, a couple of years. WrestleMania hasn't been in Chicago since, I believe, here. So Vader is mauling Owen Hart for most of the match. Mick Foley, Mankind here, puts the mandible claw on the British Bulldog outside of the ring. And we have a double count out. Champions retain. Not the greatest tag team title match here. It was very underwhelming. I was expecting a lot more, and it ended in a count out. So pretty disappointing. 5th match of the night is the submission match with guest referee Ken Shamrock. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. And across the board, this is probably one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time. The only other 2 matches I could think of that are close to it are Steamboat Savage and Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker from WrestleMania 25. Awesome match. Excellent match. This is Bret Hart's 12th consecutive WrestleMania appearance, and his last for until WrestleMania 26. So let's get right into this, guys. This is a lot to get through. If you could see my notes here, it's a lot of notes there, and I do handwrite all my notes. If you guys are curious, I'm not typing everything out. I'm handwriting this while I'm watching the show. So Austin starts the match off with a double leg, and Austin quickly throws Bret out of the ring. These guys are battling ringside. These guys are battling in the crowd. And this match is off to a hot start. And this is what I love about Austin's matches. He goes out the ringside. He goes in the crowd. He goes up the ramp. He goes everywhere. He uses all of that to his advantage. Nowadays we barely even see a suplex on the rampway. I remember loving that spot. Anyways, back towards ringside, Bret Hart is working the leg. And if Bret Hart did put the figure 4 around the ring post, I'm not sure if I wrote it down. So Bret Hart's working the leg, and Austin hits a stunner out of nowhere, but there's no pinfall, so Bret Hart kind of rolls out of the ring while, Austin's kind of buying time there. Bret Hart grabs a chair, and Austin grabs a chair, hits Bret Hart with it a few times, and Austin puts this octopus on Bret Hart. So Austin, is trying these different submission moves out, trying to get a submission here. Austin puts on a Boston Crab at one point, and I think he's just getting frustrated. Austin tosses Bret Hart out of the ring, and he's taunting the audience like, what? And they boo the hell out of Austin. So Austin is still getting booed at this point in the match. And here comes the famous spot. Austin gets out of the ring. He goes to whip Bret Hart. Hart reverses it. Austin goes into the guardrail, and Austin is a bloody mess. Bret Hart works the leg some more with the chair, and Austin blocks the sharpshooter here. And I believe this is the first time Austin hits those famous stomps in the corner. Stone Cold grabs one of those camera cables that are around ringside, and he's choking Bret out. And Bret Hart uses the bell on Stone Cold, locks in the sharpshooter, and at one point, Austin is pushing out, and it looks like he's almost broken the sharpshooter. And at that point, it just seemed like the crowd was going to explode because he broke the sharpshooter. And when Bret Hart kind of, pulls Austin's leg backs up and sinks it in a little more, the crowd is just, emotionless pretty much. And they were stunned. Austin is fighting again. Shamrock asked him numerous times before ringing the bell. I mean, this is one of those infamous WrestleMania moments now that Austin pushing up with the blood dripping down his face and through his nose and through his mouth and everything. Crazy moment. I love the match so much. Bret Hart ends up winning the match. After the match, Bret Hart attacks Stone Cold's legs. Ken Shamrock pulls apart Bret, and this is where Bret Hart leaves to a course of boos. Austin gets up to some cheers and hits a stunner on, I believe, Mike Chioda. And Austin leaves to a tremendous ovation here. Awesome match. What more can you say? This is one of the best matches of all time. And then we get into one of the worst matches ever. I wasn't a fan of this at all. The 6th match of the night here, the Chicago Street Fight. And before the match, we see a WrestleMania 14 ad. So we're promoting next year's show from the Boston, the Fleet Center. So there will be no tags in this 6-man tag team match. And it only goes about 15 minutes. This is LOD and Ahmed Johnson versus Farouk, Savio, and Crush. Like I said in the Rumble review, there was just so many guys in the Nation of Domination. It just got too big for its own demise. A little bit of water. I wasn't a fan of this match, especially the, they were tying people up, mimicking a noose. We had trash cans. We had fire extinguishers, 2x4s. Farouk slams Ahmed Johnson, I believe, through the announce desk. They weren't the announce tables we see today. They're still using like tables. So we have like these dog collars, noose things. They're just awful. They look awful, like you're trying to hang a man on pay-per-view. Eventually, the LOD hit the Doomsday on Crush. Clothesline with a 2x4 for the 3 count. After the match, Ahmed Johnson hits a Pearl River plunge to D'Lo. And we see a double Doomsday device to the 2 white guys, whoever they were, in the nation. Next up, we have an In Your House vignette for the April 20th, 1997 event. And before the main event, Shawn Michaels joins us on commentary. So, 7th match of the night is the main event for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. The Undertaker versus the champion, Sycho Sid. So Sycho Sid was over as ever at the Survivor Series. He won the title there, dropped it back to Shawn at the Rumble. Shawn lost his smile, which Bret Hart came out, cut a promo on that before the match. He called out Sid, called out Undertaker. Sid ends up powerbombing Bret Hart, and that's not the end of Bret for now. So Shawn lost his smile. I believe Bret Hart won the title, and then Sid won it from Bret. I believe that's how it went. So how awesome would it have been if Bret and Austin was the title match in the main event? I think that might have saved this. Maybe not, though. So let's get into this match. Sid was very dominant early on. And he goes up top to the rope several times, hitting like shoulder blocks, clotheslines, different things like that. And Undertaker goes for his top rope clothesline. And Sid reverses the tombstone for a 2 count. Bret Hart returns again with a chair. And he is knocked outside by Sid. Undertaker hits a chokeslam for 2. Sid goes for the power bomb, but Bret Hart is back again. Bret Hart ends up hanging Sid over the top rope. Undertaker hits the tombstone for the 3 count. We got a new WWF champion. Not the best overall main event of a WrestleMania. It was pretty lackluster. And that's probably the best way to describe it. I mean, I think we pretty much all knew Undertaker would win here. They do mention Undertaker is undefeated at WrestleMania here. So there's little hints at the streak even during this point. So that about wraps it up, guys, for the WrestleMania 13 review. Overall, guys, this is definitely a thumbs down show. I would probably only recommend the submission match. Go check out Goldust vs. Triple H. I thought that was a decent match as well. Like I said, guys, go vote now for next episode. Either King of the Ring, One Night Only, or SummerSlam 1997. Thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts on WrestleMania 13. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.